Nvidia sent a letter to sell side analysts. So people were pretty pissed about this. And the reason they're pissed is because that letter was written to contradict Michael Burry's reports. Remember, we talked about Michael Burry's short report? They were basically saying in that letter, hey, we're not Enron. And like, bro, corporate comms 101.
We've been in crypto for a while to see the version. I mean, you saw someone posted dev tweeting price or something like that, right? Because it's normally when...
You never want to have to say, we are not Enron.
Welcome to another episode of Not Investment Advice. You got Jack Butcher, Trung Phan, Bilal Zaidi. Boys, happy Thanksgiving if you celebrated it for the people listening. Sorry, when I say, I want to clarify, by the way, because I've been saying boys to you guys. I do not mean people listening, because there's more than boy. And I've been getting those messages saying I'm not a boy. And so, you know, this is getting weird for no reason.
Bilal literally means the gentleman on this call.
Yeah, the gentleman. We gotta bring that word back.
We got a lot of gals that listen. Mad respect.
Next week we gotta wear suit and tie only. Yeah, no, I'm saying that I'm literally don't have a suit with me. All right, but real quick, Jack is in Miami. He's there for Art Basel, so we're gonna let him share what's going on. He's doing something quite cool there. Then he's gonna have to go and get on with work, and then Trung and I are gonna run with it after that. So Jack, what's going on in Miami, mate? What's the vibe?
Boys, let me share this quickly. Thank you for giving me a little platform. If anyone's listening, the reason I jumped on, thought we might have some people in Miami that listen, so I thought I'd give a little 5-minute overview of what's going on. So the idea is called self-checkout, and it's based on this sort of common criticism of NFTs that popped up around 2021. You know, people say you're just buying a receipt. It's a database entry. It's a receipt. It's not real, blah, blah, blah. So it very literally embodies that criticism. And the concept's called self-checkout. It looks like this. If you're listening, it's 3 self-checkout kiosks, 4 receipt printers. And we have this interface where the amount you decide to spend is entirely optional. How much you spend correlates to the length of the receipt it prints. So a $1 receipt will be 5-6 inches long. A $100 receipt will be a couple feet long. And this number in the background is the production cost, what it costs to put this whole thing on. So the idea is trying to get the P&L to zero over the course of the 5 days by selling these receipts as the artwork itself.
That's amazing.
And if you browse this little white paper.
Hold on, let me read that first part there. Let me read the executive summary.
By the way, for people listening, if you hear background noise, it's because Jackson
you can read that,
he's in the arena making it happen right now in Miami. So just so you know, I know people will be listening being like, what the hell is something going on there?
So let me read the executive summary.
Trung's going to just scan the whole page.
For Jack's
Trung GPT.
Self-checkout. Self-checkout is a functional retail installation positioned inside Art Basel. Attendees pay whatever they want. Remote participants through the online order kiosk do the same. Each transaction generates a printed receipt as a primary artwork and unlocks a non-transferable NFT companion via seed phrase printed directly on the receipt. The entire booth operates as a live economic performance where the artist's $74,220 exposure, collector behavior, and ultimate market verdict are transmitted in real time. Wait, so Jack, you spent $74,000 and $74,221 on this?
Yes.
So then you're going down from that,
The person that made those things.
The person that made the things, the union workers that build the wall, the painters.
Okay, hold on a second. And then how much? Just out of curiosity, how much were each of those things? Those kiosks?
Hard to say. Well, in the post-mortem, I'll have like actual P&L with every single cost broken out, but we have different contractors working on a lot of different stuff. So
this is really cool, man.
It's a cool idea.
Thank you, man.
Can you tell the listeners what you did the previous years at Art Basel? Because you've done a couple of these.
I did a sculpture a few years ago, which was just painting on top of a clock, and it was then a fair. The next year we did just like a meetup spot. I did a live Pepin set. I think I talked about that a few years ago. I did 80 pieces by hand last year. And then this year, actually, this is in the proper Art Basel Miami Convention Center. Like all those others have been satellite events around. This is the proper a proper thing. So
The real deal.
trying
You know what
to,
this reminded me of? This reminded me of you had mentioned. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. So they had an ATM installation at Art Basel.
Exactly. Big inspiration. These guys,
Okay.
Mischief. They
Yeah.
did this
Oh,
ATM
yeah,
at one of the
Mischief,
fairs,
yeah.
which was you put your debit card in, it reads your balance, and then it starts to construct a leaderboard of all the
Unbelievable.
different balances. And yeah. So
I
this is
mean,
definitely inspired by that idea, and also just meant to be a commentary on how much this stuff costs, how difficult it is to build. And normally you would do this with a gallery, and they would like shoulder some of the risk and then sell your stuff. But I just decided to do it
Dude, this
independently,
is-
which is why all the cost falls on me.
so there's a chance that you're gonna eat. I'm just saying, there's a world where you eat 50K.
Yeah,
off.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
That's the
Which
skin
is,
in the
but
game,
dude,
mate.
that's
You gotta
art,
have
man.
that.
That just speaks
Exactly.
to. That speaks to. I mean, what we love about all your projects is how you're trying to, make that NFT as a medium, right, into all these different things. I mean, you obviously were super digital to start off with, and then slowly, the video Celia put together, the speed one where you sign like however many hundreds or thousands, 15-hour like.
Damn,
remember
I
that
forgot
video
about
that we
that one.
joked about? Like
Didn't you
Jackson's
hand?
hand is
You did
about
it
to
with
fall
hand.
off.
Oh my god, yeah.
So when
This is
so
super
we'll
cool,
know
the
next
ticker.
week. We'll know next week if you break
It'll be-
even, and or if you're
So-
not eating for Christmas.
So basically, this receipts.vv.xyz, you could go to this starting tomorrow morning, and there'll be a live ticker. You'll
Okay.
able to
This will
see
be
what's
when it's
going on.
live because the pod will already be out on Wednesday,
Pod will be
December
out,
3rd.
so you'll be able to go to this link. And this ticker
Receipts.vv.xyz.
will reflect the real-time balance. And if you're online, you can buy one online, and we'll send it to you. And
That's
it'll print
sick.
out. It'll print out here. So there's another idea in here, which is like the contrast between physical retail and digital retail, which
Oh,
the
that is
idea
cool.
being, or at least the assumption is that the global access of the right-hand side kiosk may increase the participation. So we'll see. Who
But
knows?
you're going to see that Art Basel purchasing power there, Jack, as well, in person. It will
We'll
be
see,
interesting
man,
to see.
we'll
No, I
see.
mean,
Yeah, we'll
there's a little
see
bit of
if
scale on the right side.
a lot of talk, a lot of people flexing. Let's see how hard they're gonna flex.
Exactly.
And then, Jack,
Let's
just
see.
lastly,
All right,
so
boys,
some,
out.
if you last thing, Jack, people that they're going to get a physical thing. If you buy online, is it going to be an NFT that you get? What happens?
All the
you-
NFTs are non-transferable, so there's no speculation on NFT, which is
Okay.
another intentional thing. It's like the NFT actually functions as a receipt of the physical
Oh,
object.
right. That's
So
interesting.
you're like the market dynamic is different than a typical NFT launch, and trying to really point to the idea that that thing exists, you own it, it doesn't move, but it is a more permanent proof than this piece of paper you got in the fair.
Got you. Okay,
in
okay.
another way to look at it is like, hey, maybe like the portion of the NFT market that does allow these objects to move around is valid and interesting and legitimate and whatever else. So there's a lot of things I'm trying to say with it, and then the participation will be the final verdict. Essentially, all outcomes will tell us something.
Amazing, mate.
Yeah. So
Good luck with
so
it, mate.
I'm gonna
Let us
bounce,
know how it
boys.
goes. All right, good to.
I appreciate you giving me a little time to
Dude,
to
I
Right,
mean,
mate.
this
Good
is-
to
in
have
the
you
background.
join
I mean,
today.
listen, it's better than anything else we've showed here, man. So this is incredible.
Yeah. No,
All right,
it's
boys,
sick.
I'll see you in a
It's
bit.
sick. All right,
All right,
mate. We'll see you
peace.
next.
Peace.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So let's get back
Man.
into the show. That is very cool.
Dude, shout
He
out
was-
to,
shout
shout
out
out to
to
the
Jack.
kid, man.
He didn't. We didn't
The
get time
boy.
to talk about it. I'll ask him next week. But he was when we were texting last week. He had sent me. He was vibe coding some of it, I think, and I don't know if they ended up using that in the live work, or if he was maybe making a prototype to share with someone who was actually making the final version. But it's pretty. Jack's been in the game with a little bit of vibe code in here as well. So
Nothing
yeah, man,
but respect, right?
really cool. No, it's a cool idea. It looks super sick. All right. Trung, let's talk about what we're discussing today. Man, great topics. When I texted you yesterday, I was like, what are we going to talk about? Any ideas, boys? And then by the morning, we got some bangers already. So here's a few ideas. Let's see. We didn't get to catch up properly before this, apart from tech. So let's just see which ones we want to go with. Google versus Nvidia. This has been
Yeah, we
heating
got
up.
I mean, the last 2 weeks has been heaty.
Yeah, TPUs, GPUs, going to break it all down. And so yeah, that's going on. MicroStrategy is trading below NAV, so that's net asset value, right? So yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's been very interesting. Again, this is very important to note. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, versus yesterday was a crazy negative day for Mr. Saylor and all of his boys. But we have a bit of a pump this morning while we're recording, so maybe saving him a little bit, / maybe he doesn't need saving. We're going to break that down. And also related to that, Vanguard, did you see Vanguard finally launched the Bitcoin ETFs? That's a massive deal. That's a massive deal. It's already breaking some records.
It's just like, that's it, right? This is why it's such an interesting conversation.
Yeah, all right. So we'll break that down. And then we also have Eli. Let's see if we get to this. Eli Lilly hit $1 trillion valuation. I think it's the first drug company to ever... does it count as drug company, pharmaceutical? Same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Pharma, right? So first pharma company to hit $1 trillion in market cap, obviously driven primarily by the GLP-1 craze. So I was digging into a little bit of this. We'll see if we get time to go through that. Lastly, there was this viral article on whether 140K is the new poverty line for a family, which sounds wild, but when you see the post, it
goes both ways, right? Like you could... It brings up directionally interesting questions. Let's see if we get to it. You know what? That might be worth saving for Jack too, because it does talk about because a big component of that argument is childcare.
Yeah. Because when it said 140K, it's including 2 kids, I think, right? That was
exactly.
Because a lot of people read that and they were seeing the headline, and it sounds wild.
Well, let's tease it for next week. But the 2 points is you kind of nailed the first one is like a family of 4, 140K. And the argument essentially, which I'll just tease, is there's a lot of disincentives in the U.S. economy. Like, like the child care credits you get and the earned income tax credits, which basically if you earn up to a certain amount, you don't have to pay taxes on it, or you even get credit back depending on work and certain medical benefits. Basically says it breaks at 60, 65. And it's like he calls it like the valley of death between 65 and 100, where there's all these policies to disincentivize individuals from working. But directionally interesting. But I think people have poked a lot of holes in it. But man, nuclear viral, right?
Yeah, I got it texted to me by multiple people.
That's when bro.
That's when you know it's really hitting that level. So yeah, interesting. Let's save that then for next week. We're gonna need to cover a lot next week as well. So. All right, let's start with Google versus Nvidia, mate. Yep. This is, I've actually got a little clip here from Big Daddy Jensen here. I'm just going to share my screen. And by the way, I'm on the handheld mic today. By the way, also, was that super loud with the AC before? Could you hear that?
No.
All right, cool.
No.
All right, let me just, it's gone off now anyway. Just so everyone knows, I'm in California, Trung's Vancouver, Jack in Art Basel, Miami. We're all over the shop. I'm going to London next week as well. So we're going to be all over the place time zone wise. Let me share my screen here. This is Jensen Huang talking about basically Google versus Nvidia.
This is yesterday. Yeah, play it, bro.
Listen, we've been competing with ASICs now for quite a long time, and Google has had ASICs for a long time. Nvidia, and they did a great job, as you know, and I've always been complimentary. Right.
Always.
What Nvidia does is much more versatile. Our technology is much more fungible. Notice the announcement today. Accelerating Synopsys design tools, the EDA, the SDA, the CAE tools, requires a computer architecture like CUDA. It's not available for ASICs. And so Nvidia can address markets that are much, much broader, not just chatbots. We're also everywhere. We're in every cloud. We're in every single OEM. We're on-prem, and we're also at the edge. And so the NVIDIA opportunity is much, much larger. And you're now seeing a real tangible example of an opportunity that we could do with our platform that nobody else can. And so this is a very big opportunity for us.
Yeah, let's pause there.
We get the idea. And then, Trung, just to add, in the tweet, it says, Morgan Stanley put out a report today saying that they forecast Alphabet will be selling approximately 12 million TPUs over 2027-2028, nearly doubling its prior estimate of 6.2 million, where every 500,000 TPUs sold could add 13 billion in revenue. And 40 cents to Google's earnings per share in 2027 alone. And just to wrap that up, let me just stop sharing here. We kind of touched on it, I think, last week or the week before. There's been a lot of tailwinds for Alphabet. Generally, it's been up, was it 50-60% this year? One of the, I think it's the best performing of the big seven, except
of the Mag 7. Yeah, it's up almost 100% this year. And
damn.
I mean, I think it's close to 80-90, but I mean, don't hold me to that. But the point that's worth bringing up here is we've been talking about Google vis-a-vis OpenAI, right? A lot.
Sorry, I'm not at 65.
Year to date 65.
Because
I think it's maxed out at 80 year to date.
Yeah.
It came down a bit. But we've been talking about the OpenAI.
And 80, sorry, a year ago. So that's what you're saying. Sorry, go ahead.
So we've been talking about OpenAI versus Google, right? And what happened in the past 10 days, which is really, really shaking the AI space, is now it's not just OpenAI versus Google. It's Google versus Nvidia. And then people are all realizing it's like something we've joked about here for the last 2-3 years is how badly Google, quote unquote, fumbled AI at the beginning, right? Like ChatGPT is 3 years old as of Sunday. So we're recording this on Tuesday. It's 3 years old and 2 days now. And everyone remembers that first year, how badly Google, do you remember the name of the first Google chatbot?
Bard.
Yeah, Bard, right? Gone.
Bard name.
Yeah, gone. Right? Actually, honestly, kind of a good name, man.
And it also makes sense now, though, because I remember at the time when they pivoted the name or they changed the name, everyone was like, oh, is this the right thing to do? Also, there's a crypto exchange called Gemini. Yeah. And I know, obviously,
it was a branding issue, right? Because the joke that everyone has is there's all these Google products that are so AI, like Notebook names. LM, Nano Banano, Gemini, Vio. It's like no one could find them. They were just everywhere. Right?
Yeah, I still feel like that a lot of the time. Yeah.
Well, Bilal, you understand this is because in Google, obviously, like it's as with any organization of this size, there are like fiefdoms, right? Is like and
people competing for resources.
Exactly.
But I do think they did a big change where everything became the central.
No, they did.
Focus.
They did. We're going to talk about that. A big part of it was. Did you see the documentary that they posted? It was the Thinking Machine.
I saved it for the plane, but I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so it's about Demis.
It's on YouTube for free if people want to check it out.
Yeah, it's on YouTube for free. It's about Demis Hassabis and the founding of DeepMind before it was acquired by Google in 2014, and. It's an amazing documentary, man. It's like, obviously it's very pro DeepMind and framed in a very positive light, but so much respect for Demis Hassabis, man. It's like, you're talking about a guy that, like, I don't know if you know his origin story, but it's crazy. He was like so he tells it, and the reason I'm telling this is because you just look at the landscape of everyone in AI, and I just look at Demis, and it's like, man, this guy like cares about knowledge, right? He's like, this
is his lifelong pursuit.
Yeah,
right?
and like they gave away the protein folding, right? Like AlphaFold, they gave it to the world. So like obviously they're making an F ton of money, but like his purpose was to be a researcher. And there's an amazing part, and he talks about it. He was the second ranked chess player in the world. This is his telling at the age of 12, right?
That's wild, right?
Bro.
I love that.
He thought he was gonna do chess as a career. But then he remembers
did chess in the business world. That's what he's up to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's moving. He's playing chess right now.
He's not playing checkers for sure.
So Demis was 12 years old. He goes to this tournament in Liechtenstein, and he's playing chess. And he plays against a former Danish champion, a 30-year-old guy. And apparently the nature of this tournament was one of these games where you had max, like you could think for as long as you wanted. So he ended up playing this 30-year-old, he's 12, for 10 hours, okay? And by the end, he's just like mentally exhausted. He's done. And he apparently made a very simple mistake in hindsight, but bro, you're 10 hours in, right? Like,
wait, and how old is he? He's 13?
He's 12, and this guy's 30.
Yeah, okay, that
so, dude, he loses
like
to this 30-year-old, and this 30-year-old, total douchebag, shows Demis the mistake he made. He's like, hey, you idiot. Like, if you could have kept the game going if you moved your queen here. And Demis was so shook. And then he just looked around the room. There's 300 people. And I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020, but in his telling, he's like, wow, if everyone in this room is this smart and they had dedicated 10 hours to this one thing, imagine if they did something that wasn't chess, right? We could have cured cancer is what he was thinking.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
at 12, he's like, I'm not going to do chess as a career. And now you're seeing the fruits of like that mindset, right? He's like, I mean, DeepMind by itself would probably be worth almost if OpenAI is worth 500 billion, DeepMind's worth at least 500 billion, right?
Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
was
100%.
acquired for 400 million pounds in 2014. Just, bro,
Wow,
what
that's
is
a
up with
crazy scoop, right?
Google folk? Yeah. So the reason we're laying this all out is Google is, everyone knew they had the pieces, right? The chips, the cloud, the distribution, whatever, 10 products with a billion users.
Infrastructure, yeah, billion.
Dude, have you actually
distribution.
started noticing that when you open like Docs or Gmail, they're hitting you with the, hey, do you want to try the AI thing version? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Dude, but that's like, to your point, Bilal, like we've talked about, that's unmatched distribution, right?
How are you going to compete with that,
No, but for real, and people notice, and people realize that in respect with OpenAI, ChatGPT. Gemini comes out, I think, 3 weeks now at this point. State-of-the-art model, and people are just blown away by it. Coding benchmarks. They probably have the best video and images.
The image, we sent a few in the DMs. I might want to share one. The nano,
Yeah, show it. The Nano
realistic
Banana
one.
is insane, dude. Pull it up.
Let me just, while you're talking, I'll pull up that
Big point
the example
that's
of
being
the
made about
lady.
Gemini and how good it is. First of all, it does its images like twice as fast as ChatGPT, maybe 3 times faster.
Yo, look at this, Trung. This is the one, right? Do you remember this one?
This one went nuclear viral.
This
Dude,
is crazy. And so for
77
people who are only listening, I would definitely click the YouTube link, leave a little comment just to say hello, but also check out the video because this is just, look, the first picture, I was showing my missus and her mum this because the first one, looks like an AI person. It looks a little cartoonish, like you can kind of tell it looks a bit too airbrushed or whatever.
It's too slick.
Yeah, it still looks fairly realistic. Like there'll be some people who are fooled by this already, right?
Yeah.
Next one, man. This is crazy real. And man, I didn't even verify this. This is definitely AI, right?
It is.
This is how you know it's crazy, right? Because that looks realistic.
You're like, I was showing my missus and bro, you got busted looking at it. It's like, yo, what's this?
I just had it on my screensaver. Is that what you're saying? No, it was one sec. No, the reason, actually, fun anecdotal story is my, basically mother-in-law. She was talking about this musician, right? And she was saying all the women on the internet in her feed are going crazy about this guy, and it ends up being AI country singer or so. Not even a country singer.
That's why he's got an 8-pack.
Yeah, exactly. And literally, man, she was showing me, and it didn't even look that crazy like the levels we've seen, but enough that she kind of realized it was AI halfway through. But it was kind of interesting seeing like the reaction, obviously different generation. And but the people in the comments, man, are straight up like in love with this dude. It's crazy. Yeah. They're just saying.
Fair enough. I mean,
and
I
the
would
song
be in love
sounds
with
good.
the perfect specimen of a human being that only ever glazed you, right? It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
But Bilal, no, good thing you brought that up to show how far ahead they are on the images, right? And let's be honest, I know Sora came out, but Veo, first of all, they have the infrastructure already. Google, right? It's like we all know this, and Google Cloud is growing faster than either Amazon or Azure, granted from a lower base, but they are catching up. I think the ranking is Amazon, 130 bill run rate, Microsoft, 110 bill run rate, Google, 50 bill run rate. But man, like Google is best placed now to serve AI,
hitting
right?
on all cylinders, yeah.
So the Nvidia question is so interesting because Nvidia, over the past 5 years during this AI boom, has captured essentially 100% of the AI data center spend. 100%. AMD is worth $350 billion, right? They are second. They own 40% of the CPU data center market, 0 in the AI market, right? Granted, they've only been in the game for 3 years. They have new chips coming out. Their chips are competitive, but chips only one piece of the pie. You have to have the networking, the energy, the know-how to put an entire warehouse together, right? And we've talked about how Nvidia acquired a networking company, Mellanox, in 2019. This is 6 years ago. They acquired it for $7 billion. They made the networking revenue was $8 billion last quarter. This is like an Instagram, YouTube level acquisition, right? But having said that, a couple things happened in the past 10 days. News came out that Meta was in talks to buy billions of dollars worth of TPUs. Okay, this is the tensor processing unit. This is the Google AI chip that they've been working on for almost for over a decade.
Trung, can you, from your understanding, the difference between GPU, TPU? It's from my understanding, TPU is just more.
It's tailored for this use case. It's like tailored for AI, also for Google's AI usage, right? Is like, that's why Jensen's whole point, and we'll talk about Nvidia. So the interview you showed earlier, because they had made a $2 billion investment in Synopsys, which is a software for semiconductors. And CUDA, as we've talked about, is Nvidia software to program their chips. And GPUs are just in general are much more flexible, because what was the original purpose of a GPU, Bilal? What was
graphical processing unit? Games, basically, right?
Games,
like,
right? Is like that's
Quake.
What it started as. From the mid 90s on, right? That's what Nvidia did. They did games. Parallel processing was what you needed to render graphics.
And for most people,
right?
it didn't matter. Like, just to zoom out, like, remember when you would buy your first PC or whatever you listen to, you would look at the CPU. It was Intel Pentium processor.
Gamers would look at the GPU.
Exactly.
Right? Gamers, yeah.
But a lot of people wouldn't.
Quake.
Exactly.
You want that Quake and Counter-Strike.
LAN network going, you know what I mean? But yeah, so you got CPUs, GPUs, and it happened to be later down the road, GPUs are what you really need for this sort of AI work.
Exactly. It's like, well, GPUs at the highest level, right? Like at the 50,000 foot level, people will laugh.
And not what I'm using for my Quake machine.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Exactly, right? You're rendering graphics, right? You're rendering graphics. And the best way to do that was parallel processing, crazy mathematical formulas at the highest speed possible. CPUs were too generalized for that. GPUs were very specific to the math. Turns out that's what you needed for crypto mining, as we found out in the mid 2010s, and what you need for AI. So it is true that it is just a more flexible tool. And that's why CUDA has this massive open source software library that's available to anyone. But TPUs are coming out now. And here's the thing. A report from Semi-Analysis, which is one of the leading kind of research newsletters in the semiconductor space, did a deep dive on TPUs. And there was reporting from it. People are kind of fiddling over the numbers now. But the takeaway was there is a world where TPUs can be cost savings for the right users, right? Because as we've talked about on this podcast, AI and software, a big difference is software effectively has zero marginal cost, right? To serve another post in X is not costing X anything, or Facebook. It's so marginal, doesn't even matter, right? Whereas in AI, serving these tokens are, people have said 10, 15, 20 times more than a search query, for example.
Yeah, more capital intensive.
Yeah, there is a marginal cost. So if you are going to do tokens as a business, it really does matter how many tokens you can get at what cost. So TPUs for Google are going to be lower cost than a fully loaded Nvidia data center for Google. So all these big companies now, like a Meta, are asking themselves, could we get the same token delivery and cost saving if we can customize? And it makes sense for Meta, right? Because they're doing it at such large scale. Same with Anthropic. Anthropic put in a 52 billion order just for TPU chips, right?
Also, by the way, just to the earlier Google bull case, Google also owns, what is it, 10, 15% of Anthropic now?
Of Anthropic, crazy, dude. It's insane.
I mean, again,
Amazon
definitely not
22%.
investment advice. And I will say it's already up significantly. So
yeah,
it may be
massive.
that it's already been captured potentially. But yeah, if you're zooming out long term, I guess my summary, Trung, is we framed it as this and people have framed it as Nvidia versus Google. But in reality, you're going to need both, man. Companies going to need...
You're right.
Yes,
no, but that's it. It's like, but here's the thing. Google best case scenario that they've mapped out right now, they're saying they might capture 10% of the entire market, right? It's like Nvidia is still.
It's still the king, yeah.
But here's the key. Nvidia has 70% margins. If you can, as a large buyer, so if you are Meta now and you can go to Nvidia and say, we are considering TPUs, you know, they might have to bring that margin down, right? And this is apparently what happened with OpenAI getting the terms of $100 billion investment from Nvidia. Apparently, Jensen Huang read an article where OpenAI was looking at Google's TPUs, called up Sam Altman, is like, yo, is this true? Sam's like, hey, you know, we're talking to Google. And then all of a sudden, this deal comes about, $100 billion investment, front of the line for NVIDIA GPUs, right? So the risk with NVIDIA is it has that 70% margin. That's what the real risk is. And I mean, this was the post. So two things happened last week. First of all, NVIDIA sent a letter to sell-side analysts. So people were pretty pissed about this. And the reason they're pissed is because that letter was written to contradict Michael Burry's reports. Remember, we talked about Michael Burry's short reports. They were basically saying in that letter, hey, we're not Enron. And like, bro, corporate comms 101.
We've been in crypto for a while to see the version. I mean, you saw someone posted dev tweeting price or something like that, right? Because it's normally when
you never want to have to say we
it's
are
like
not
steady
Enron.
Lads, but obviously it's not the same thing. But
So
yeah, go ahead.
That was this, and then here a couple of days later, Bilal, read this out. This is an NVIDIA newsroom tweet.
We're delighted by Google's success. They've made great advances in AI, and we continue to supply to Google. NVIDIA is a generation ahead of the industry. It's the only platform that runs every AI model and does it everywhere computing is done. NVIDIA offers greater performance, versatility, fungibility than ASICs, which are designed for specific AI frameworks or functions.
So,
kind of what he was saying there, yeah.
Yeah, but people read that, they're like, yo, when
that's-
you have to tweet that out,
We're delighted by Google's success.
No, but
That's
here,
funny.
this is the meme that killed me, bro.
Yeah.
For the
Oh my
listeners,
God.
it's they took Jensen as being like, Jensen looks salty. Congrats, happy for you, nice. And so that was NVIDIA's bad week. And you know what's funny? After everything, NVIDIA is still a $4.5 trillion company. It's the largest company in the world still. They just announced blowout earnings, but it is that question: is the margin coming down? And let me actually friend of the pod, my former classmate at McGill University, Deidre Boza, CNBC CNBC legend, but she posted this. So Deidre posted this great chart. And Bilal, you had said it. You made a very great point earlier. You said it's not Google versus NVIDIA. You're going to need all of it, right? But Deidre's graph here, super interesting. She kind of mapped out all the players that are linked to the OpenAI ecosystem and all the players that are linked to the Google ecosystem. So Google has Google Broadcom, which fabs the chips for it doesn't fab it does the chips for TPUs, and then all these other players that help bring these neo clouds that help serve TPUs to the market. And then the OpenAI crowd is Oracle, AMD, Microsoft, Nvidia, CoreWeave, and SoftBank. Okay, so there are two groups here, and it's a super interesting question about what's going to happen with these two
Sorry,
groups.
Trung, real quick. What was the y-axis? Or what was the labels for the axis?
Performance. So the performance of the Google exposed infrastructure has really taken off in the last 3 months.
Performance as in the stock price?
Yeah, stock price.
Okay.
Well, if you took a basket, obviously you can't, these are all public companies that took a basket of.
Yeah.
But this is the question though. There's also competitive questions for Google. It's not clean cut.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Right? It's like, if you're Google, and if, let's say TPUs are the best, and that you are actually saving a lot, because the key input here is energy. And that you're getting more tokens per watt, right, than any other player in the industry. Why are you giving that advantage away, right? That's the question. So there's a fine line what Google can do. If they sell all their chips even they sell to Amazon or Microsoft, let them serve it in their clouds, then now their cloud advantage is kind of gone. So they have to play a very tricky dance between give enough to the market so that Nvidia doesn't get all the margin, but don't give too much that you lose your model advantage, your performance advantage. And a deal actually a couple of days ago, which to this effect was very crucial. They did a deal with Amazon to allow Amazon to keep their customers' data with AWS, but they could do the AI processing on Google's cloud. So AWS is a no-brainer. You don't want your clients taking all their data over to GCP, right? And then for Google, they don't get the data, but they get the AI workloads. So super interesting what's happening here. And the large takeaway is this. Google has so many like irons in the fire, right, man? It's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. And then also just to add a little extra bullet point here, OpenAI declared code red. Did you read that, Trung?
Read it out.
So this was from the information. The headline just says OpenAI CEO declares code red to combat threats to ChatGPT, delays ads efforts. And the tweet here says, 3 years after OpenAI made Google launch a code red, because that was internally at Google, they also had the same thing essentially, is OpenAI's turn to go code red after Gemini 3 launch. This probably this person's opinion. I don't think it's just Gemini 3 launch. It's probably a big part of that, but it's not the only thing. ChatGPT still has not reached its 2025 goal of 1 billion weekly active users, while Gemini is now at 650 million monthly active users. Again, two different comparisons there, but still, they're deprioritizing ChatGPT ads, shopping, health, pulse, prioritizing personalization, image gen, arena maxing, minimizing over refusals, whatever all these things mean. But anyway, but yeah, so quite an interesting. And then, sorry, the last thing, I did see this. This isn't verified, but I saw. Do you ever see this guy, DD Das? He posts a bunch of stuff. I think he's a partner at Menlo Ventures.
Yep.
He posted today. Was this today? December 2nd. Yeah. In the 2 weeks since OpenAI. Since the 2 weeks since Gemini launched, ChatGPT unique daily active users is 7-day average are down 6%. I think,
Crazy.
Again, I don't know if this is fully verified. I think he's using SimilarWeb, which is still a proxy, but that's probably not taken into account. I don't think that captures like app usage and stuff, does it? SimilarWeb, I doubt it. But anyway, regardless.
That's just website, right? So
Yeah.
it's not, it's not.
Which again, I don't know the breakdown of app. Like I use the app, but a lot of people might just use desktop. But either way, I mean, anecdotally, I know people who are very bullish on using ChatGPT from the beginning, including myself, who some of them are literally switched. And another thing, and a lot of, even Jack, I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, he was playing with Gemini for code stuff, and he was telling me like, man, this is insanely good. Like it's big jump from before. So yeah, it's quite interesting seeing it all play out. But like all this stuff, Trung, a week later, I think Claude launches something and everyone's like, oh, Claude is incredible for coding. So it's just, this is going to continuously evolve. But I do
there's
think,
that meme, right?
Yeah.
It's like you are in this part of the cycle. It's like top model OpenAI, top model Gemini, top model X.
Exactly. Yeah, but my general, like I said earlier, my general take on all this is zooming out. This is all growing. You know, you can't really predict right now. Like in the same way, a year ago, it was very difficult to predict Google was going to be up 80% year over year or 60% year to date. Like a lot of these things, who would have thought, Trung, that gold would have outperformed the coin this year and everything else pretty much?
Well, Bilal, that's a good segue to Bitcoin. But the last thing I'll add about the AI stuff is a couple of interviews have come out recently. Demis actually has talked about it. Jan LeCun, former head of AI at Facebook. Demis, obviously, we just talked about DeepMind. Elias Sutskever, the former chief scientist of OpenAI, and now the founder of like $30-40 billion no product, no revenue startup, super safe intelligence. SSI, but he had a podcast with Dorkesh Patel, and he was talking about the limits of the current paradigm for training LLMs. And a lot of people now are talking about world models. That's a big thing. Is the idea of like, if you actually want to achieve this next level intelligence unlock, well, what is it that humans ultimately unlocked on, right? It's not just reading and writing. It's like our interaction with the real world, right? It's like, think about, the things that any parent will know. It's like your kid learns how to walk faster than learn how to read, right? Or earlier in their life they do. And see how hard that is for robots, conversely, whereas LLMs have just zoomed, right? And but that's a big paradigm that people are looking at. But let's get into the MicroStrategy thing. So this is interesting, Bilal, if you want to tee it off.
Yeah, so I think we touched on this a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago, but there was already talk about MicroStrategy is trading below NAV, net asset value, right? So from my understanding, Trung, you're CFA here, so you can clarify if I'm correct on it. Essentially, they hold more assets than the value of the company, right? Like they hold a value of, obviously for them is
no, well, here
Bitcoin
it is, right? Let's ballpark the number. I think it's about 50 billion Bitcoin. And their NAV might be back to 1 today because the stock is up. Let me see what the stock is at. The stock's up 7% today.
Because and also Bitcoin is up around that amount today.
Strategy now, right? Obviously, but just to clarify, I don't know what the NAV number is, but the key point of this conversation is that they were trading at 3 times net asset value, right, a year ago.
The peak, you're saying?
Yeah, at its peak. So say they had 30 bill of Bitcoin, they're trading at 100 bill market cap. So people were paying $3 of market value for $1
a premium
of Bitcoin.
For that. And now, versus right now is the opposite.
And obviously MicroStrategy, now Strategy, pioneered the idea of a digital asset treasury, right? Right? They were take a publicly traded vehicle, or a publicly traded company, and you put crypto or Bitcoin on the balance sheet in this case. Other companies have tried ETH, but these have exploded, right? Because there was a time over the past 12 to 18 months, the market was willing to pay 2 to 3 times market value for $3 for $1 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And there were like, when MicroStrategy started, there were reasons for this, right? There weren't Bitcoin ETFs. There wasn't IBIT, right? You couldn't just buy a Bitcoin ETF that had like a nominal fee. There were restrictions on the type of retirement assets you could put in your retirement fund before the ETFs came around. So MicroStrategy was a public company, right? They have 1,500 employees. They have 200 people working across legal, accounting, finance, investor relations. So they were a SEC registered business that was publicly traded, had to do quarterly earnings, and then there's all these trappings that allowed it to be a vehicle for people to invest into Bitcoin. Obviously, the question has always been, how much longer can that NAV premium stay? How much longer can it trade above net asset value, right? And a couple of reasons why it's come down is there's been a lot. We just talked about one of them. The ETFs have come out. Number 2, the entire
previously you would buy this, but now you say I can just buy IBIT.
If you wanted exposure and your fund had restrictions on the type of assets you could buy, or your retirement account had restrictions, now you can just go get the ETF, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one reason. Another reason is there's so many digital asset treasury companies, but again, a lot of them are just like a total shell companies buying Bitcoin. MicroStrategy still does have a software business. It's not huge, vis-a-vis a Microsoft.
Was it like 500 million or something?
Yeah, it's like 500 bill a year in revenue, right? It's like
billion?
It's still an operating business.
Not a million, no? I thought it was small.
No, 500 million to $1 billion in revenue.
Oh, I thought you said 500 billion. I was like, wait a minute.
Sorry.
That was
no, bro.
Yeah, 500 million to $1 billion. Yeah, I was gonna say that would put them in a different. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, but Trung, the way this price has behaved is kind of like buying leveraged. It's like when things were going up and everything was very bullish, you were paying a premium. It was going up more, and now the flip side.
It was also a lever. There was also a lot of leverage involved.
There is actual leverage. Yeah.
MicroStrategy has been issuing corporate debt, convertible notes, to raise money to buy more Bitcoin, and if you do the simple math of it, is that the idea of if the market was willing to give them money, right, and they have been for convertible notes and for debt, I think they have one of their bonds from 20 or 21 has like a under 1% interest rate, right? It's like if the market was giving you that, Saylor's whole point is like, we'll buy Bitcoin. And like the underlying
he was
point,
basically running ZERP era on his own, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
in
it
his
was,
own
right?
company.
And the point he was trying to make was, granted, Bitcoin's only been around for 15 years, right? Or 16 years now. But if you look at any 5-year period, it's always been up over 5 years. Famous last words, right? But that's kind of been the cycle with it. And if you look at MicroStrategy now, yes, it's lost its NAV, but it's still tapping financial markets. But Bilal, if you're wondering, why is it trading below 1? Why was it at one point, I guess, 0.9? Why was it valued at, call it a ballpark, 45 billion when it had 50 billion in Bitcoin? It's because there's the debt level on top of it, and they've issued a number of preferred shares into the market. And those preferred shares, last time I checked, had between, I call it 10%-ish dividends, right? And now we just talked about the operating business. I think they owe this year 200 to 300 million in dividends for the preferred shares. And the good thing about the preferred shares, but they were not dilutive to the common shareholders, which people were kind of critical of on some of their at the market equity offerings. So like there's some points where like, hey, we're selling X amount of shares to the market at this price, and that was dilutive, right? That was dilutive on a shareholder basis, but they've been going after something called Bitcoin yield, whereas like as a shareholder, are you actually getting more Bitcoin for each share? And it was working. It was working when the NAV was super high, right? And then yesterday, so on Monday, the people like they did a cash reserve, right? They sold an I believe it was at the market, and they raised 1.4 million. Oh, sorry, 1.4 billion. And they said that will be 2 years of coverage for the dividends on their preferred. So I mean, this is a financial, like it's a tightrope. They basically need Bitcoin to be called 120, 130, and it needs it to be there for X amount of man, if it's above 130 for a year or two, I mean the bet's paying off, right? It's like it is certainly a bet.
Do you know the number where it becomes dangerous for them?
It's like I looked at the corporate bonds, and the thing is these don't have to be paid out until I think earliest. I mean I think starts at 2027. And then it runs out all the way to 2032, 2033. I don't have the exact numbers, but they've been releasing these financial products through the years, right? And listen, a bear market, and we're saying like FTX style, like post FTX, 15,000, 20,000 Bitcoin, that is a lot of pressure, right? Because they're going to have to pay these dividends. The operating business will only be able to do a bit of that. They're going to have to keep doing at the market offerings and preferred offerings and find other ways to raise money to pay these dividends, because I mean, they don't want to, but they could sell Bitcoin. But you see, that's a death spiral, right?
Yeah, because once you sell, then you're starting to. It's a
and because they own 3% of the outstanding supply, so like it is a situation.
What could go wrong, Trunk? What could go wrong?
No, but I mean, it was a total. It's a high wire act. It certainly is. I think the number was basically call it 130, 150. If Bitcoin's in that range. The stress of selling Bitcoins a lot less, right? Because they'll be above the buying price on all their Bitcoin. But the stress, obviously.
But then there's the signal of that, and there is
the big one that perhaps they have lost is that 2 to 3 times NAV, right? Is like that. The paying $2 to $3 for $1 Bitcoin, that likely is gone. But they've been tapping the markets so much to even collect 3% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be mined. Is like, if they just sit on their current situation, you just have to, it is a long-term bet, right? And it is a bet. But you have to remember too that they survived the FTX winter. Same thing happened, right? Is if you look at the stock chart, let's max it out here. I mean, it was a ruler. I mean, it's so wild.
And while you're bringing it up, to me, just from the outside, not understanding all the details of every little level, Trung was just, it's like a lot of these things, it's basically how long you can stay in the game for them. Like if they can, if the price stays at a decent level for them, they're going to ride out. If it drops too much, it can cause a death spiral, like you said. But yeah, so go and pull up what
Well,
what
look
is
how
this?
crazy this is, man. This is like, I think in November. This where I'm at right now for the listeners. November 22. They're up basically 10x from post FTX lows, right? You can't even see the crazy sell off there was. It was a for their stock. It was a 70 or 80% drawdown to FTX, and it's just been ripping ever since. So I mean, it goes back to the entire thesis of MicroStrategy, right? And listen, this is like, as we laid out, it is a high wire act. Like this is not investment advice, right? It's like, but Michael Saylor's point that we've been talking about for 5 years now on this podcast. He looked at the cash on the MicroStrategy balance sheet. He saw it as a melting ice cube because of inflation, right? The amount of money that was printed during COVID, and he made this bet on Bitcoin, and then they kept tapping capital markets, and the capital markets kept paying them for it. They kept offering these prices for it, right? I think at one point, again, he's like, listen, if the bond market is going to give me, call it $500 million with near 0% interest rate, I'm going to use that to buy Bitcoin, right? And at the time he did that deal, Bitcoin's up 10x. So again, higher wire act, the NAV is gone. But the thing to watch out for here and to keep an eye on is if Bitcoin hits another drawdown and it stays that way for a long time, because now the pressure really becomes how much of the Bitcoin have you purchased is underwater, right? Because you just really do not want to start selling that Bitcoin in any capacity. And the fact that he got 2 years coverage yesterday, man, that's like, I don't hold any MicroStrategy, just like a disclaimer, but like they have 2 year coverage for dividends. That's what Saylor said yesterday. So now you're seeing 2 more years of Bitcoin performance, which again, obviously can go up or down, but that they've bought themselves, it looks like here, to the narrative that was really building up in the last few days is how will they pay for the dividends. And that's why it was trading under NAV, right? It wasn't just a one-to-one Bitcoin.
Yeah, so
they have financial
people
obligations.
are pricing in the risk as well, right? So it's just,
exactly.
and,
so there you go.
I know. I mean, just to add some context for that, Trung. Again, this is what time of day this is published today. So just comparing it, obviously a massive proxy for this is the price of Bitcoin versus everything else. So this year, gold is up 60%. Best year since the 1970s. Silver up 104%. Best year since 1970s. Nasdaq up 20%. SPX up 16%. Also, international markets is up 25% if you look at the big ETF. Basically, things have still been on a good run this year. Again, priced in dollars, obviously, but Bitcoin down 7% this year. Right, so that is...
Wait, BTC's down 7 for the year?
That's what it says here. Let me... Because the price has gone up 7% today, so that's the problem with all this stuff. Let me see. Let me just see. Year to date is down...
You're right. It's down 2%. Crazy, dude.
Year on year is down 5%. Right,
Whoa.
and then just... But obviously this swings crazy, right? So the high is around 125. We hit 120 earlier in August. And then this year in October... It was around 124, 125, right? So, so it's been in this range.
Well, the real key here is do not be looking at the stock chart every day.
Oh, yeah. That's why you delete the apps. You put it on you don't need to be looking at that too often, man. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, man. I mean, definitely, respect to them for swinging, but also... It's
high wire,
playing with
dude.
Fire
It's like,
bit.
I mean, they are. I mean, frankly, dude, I think I heard on a podcast Saylor say that he used ChatGPT to come up with these financial products. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
I
mean,
like
it makes
that,
sense, but also
that's a part of the
funny.
cycle we're in.
Hope it wasn't hallucinating. All right, Trung, I think we can probably save, Eli Lilly next week because we can still cover that next week, and I'll do a little bit more research to talk about it. Just a related note, we mentioned the Vanguard thing here. I'll just share. This was really quickly here, the before and after. This was 2018, but they even said this in 2024. Vanguard chief, you'll never see Bitcoin fund from us, 2025. It just takes a little time. Here we go. Vanguard will now allow crypto ETFs on his platform. And from what I saw this morning, it was a massive amount. Did we already say up front, or was I saying that to Jack before you got on the call? It was a crazy amount of trading volume, which honestly makes sense, man. For the ETFs on Vanguard, yeah. I think that honestly might be a lot of what was driving some of the buying pressure, but also there's like shorts getting liquidated. A lot of this looks like mechanical on the way up right now because it was quite a big jump today. But anyway, interesting. Now, like it's been a choppy year, man, for all this stuff. So act accordingly, man. I wouldn't want to be taking on too much risk right now. Anything else, Trung, before we wrap it up here, mate? This was very good. Let's talk Eli Lilly because that's a pretty interesting topic. I listened to a few podcasts with the CEO. Did you see he was on?
Oh yeah, with the Collison brothers.
Collison brothers. He was on. I think he came on All In. And I was going in because I also met a CEO of a company who does compounding recently, and so I had a little chat with him about this whole space. So it's just very interesting. And then I've been listening to on the health side. There's a lot of early adopters are using the third generation of these drugs. If you go to Silicon Valley, half the people there are using
it's like crazy, right? The numbers.
Even.
I think the publication did a survey that said half, right?
50% of people that did their survey, obviously. And
you know what? You know what I'll put out there? Let's end with this. And it's a nice conversation that we can have together. Ari Emanuel, the founder of Endeavor, the talent agency, and now the CEO of TKO Group, he was on the Invest Like the Best podcast. Did you see this?
No.
So he was talking about, so we talked about AI earlier. He's talking about the anti-AI bet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that idea, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I think you'll appreciate it. So basically, he's a CEO of TKO Group, and they own WWE and UFC, right? You've been to a UFC event? Yeah, you've been to a UFC event.
Yeah, this time last year, it showed up in my memories, man. It was
it did, right?
One of my favorite nights of the year. It was
that
crazy.
The one where Trump showed up?
Yeah, it was just when didn't he just win the election?
Yeah,
and it was like
dude, you were in the stadium.
Yeah, with a friend of the pod, Michael Brandt, and a few listeners of the pod that is some people that work with him.
Ketone.
Yeah, they were sponsoring the fighter. What's his name?
Oh, amazing!
The big dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty fun day.
Jones, right? John Jones.
Yeah, exactly. John Jones, exactly.
John Jones Bones. But the amazing thing, the reason I bring that up is I highly recommend this podcast, and I'm tied in with you were literally there a year ago this time, is so Ari Emanuel basically said they looked at his holdings. So he has that with TKO Group, UFC, WWE, couple tennis tournaments, got a big one in Madrid, the Freeze Art Fair, speaking of art fairs, like where Jack is right now, and they own car auctions, bull riding. And his point is this. I'd love your take on it. So this is a longer term bet. We might not necessarily have seen the productivity boon yet, but he's like, we're in a world where, AI productivity, if it takes off. So let's just assume. We do a lot of assumptions here, right? You might work. How many days a week would you work, right? You might work 3 days a week, maybe. Apparently Netherlands is down to a 4-day work week. Officially, and the point that he was making was you might see now that people come in and they're already seeing the data from hotels. Bookings on Thursdays are way up, right? People are starting their vacation on Thursdays. Is this something you've seen, Bilal?
Yeah, I think so, because it's like the equivalent of in America. A lot of people do summer Fridays, where you basically take Fridays off, or you have a half day. In the UK, you're doing that anyway because you're just at the pub by 1 p.m. getting that lunch in, you know what I mean? But no, I think also, like you said, there's more patterns. Flexibility.
Yeah.
Flexible work.
Flexible.
And you're right. Yeah. Traffic pattern. Like people are flying on the Thursday versus before they had to fly on Friday.
You're right. They're flying on Thursdays, 11 to 4 p.m. or the commuting times now, which is not a ton, right? And we actually talked about this with the EA acquisition. So he's very close to the Silver Lake team. Ari Emanuel is. And if you remember about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, we talked about the EA acquisition, the take private. Basically, the Saudi sovereign wealth fund took EA private. The that they had was in an AI productivity boom, sports and gaming is going to be super valuable because people need to fill their time.
Yeah.
So this is all part of what's called the anti-AI bets. We're social animals. We want to do things in person. So, something to keep an eye on. This is a nice bookend for Jack talking about him literally being in person at a big in-person event. But how do you feel about that thesis?
That's smart. And I felt similar in terms of even just thinking investing wise. I'm always looking at what's uncorrelated assets, basically. So in different environments, when you have, well, if everyone is working less, let's say, like you said, or in general, outside of just work, people have, there's trends and there's counter trends, right? So like for the last 10, 15 years, everyone was using their phones, addicted, whatever. That's still happening. But over the last 3 to 5 years, more people have been looking for, I need to put my phone away. They use the brick device like we talked about, or the KO phone that we talked about with
friend of the pod.
So that's basically George Mack. So we're going to have all of these anti-trends. So it doesn't mean AI isn't also going to grow and more time is going to be spent digitally. I think it's just people are looking for that respite, and then also add into that layer of everyone being locked down for a year or whatever it was, and people missing that connection, not going into office. For a lot of people, they lost that automatic socialization they get. Honestly, even me, right? Like I feel that a lot. Like I need to basically go out every day just to I go and talk to the barista for a little while, like, or the local
got those
coffee
famous
shop.
walk, the famous Bilal Zaidi walk.
Go. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, man. So yeah, I think it's great. And then also generally sports specifically is, from what I've looked at, they don't have as much upside necessarily as, tech stocks, but that's not how they're priced. But they don't necessarily have as much downside either, because even in a recession, people are watching sports, right? So, and even TV wise, it's the one thing that generally, not across all sports, but people still tune in to live sports. Now maybe it's down for certain sports, but like I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but like for me, just anecdotally, I watch way more football now than I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago, right? So, and that's also like Premier League has grown, and so there's slight take on that versus, let's say, I think basketball, NBA, MLB may be very different. I'm not sure of the numbers there. But yeah, where is more like highlight sports? I feel like a lot of people will just watch the clips if they're not really into it. Like, for example, I like basketball, but I'm not watching early preseason games, or like, honestly, a lot of games during the
playoff time, bro.
Watch
playoff a 9-minute highlight package.
Exactly. And then you're going on House of Highlights, so you're watching YouTube or whatever, and you just want to see the dunk. You want to see everything going on for a casual fan like me, versus for football. Like, there are people watching clips of that as well, but I think there's this like live watching thing that you don't want to miss the game. It's like that old joke of that your mum saying, "Oh, why don't you just record the game and watch it when we're back?" And we're like, "No, that's not how it works."
You don't understand that. That's not the point.
That's not the point. You want to know what's going on. All right, it's great to chat to you, Trung.
Yeah, amazing,
I hope you guys enjoyed that good episode. Guys and gals, yeah. And we've got next week, we got lots to talk about. We might have to do a double record as well. So we might do an AMA or something like that in the Telegram group. Send us some of your questions, so we have a few things to talk about for the Christmas period. I hope everyone enjoyed that, and we'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.